and welcome to Clare GA headquarters in Clare Abbey for the preview for the Junior A hurling final between Kilmaley and O'Callaghan's Mills, which is due to be played this weekend. I suppose we have two great legends of Clare GA with us, Conor Clancy from Kilmaley and Sammon from the Mills. Two men that have, I suppose, fought the good fight for 25 years. I don't think do you ever mark each other as?
No, luckily we never marked each other. Well, I was fortunate enough to play with him. So myself and Kevin played in Flannans and played underage for Clare, yes, all the way up along. So privileged to have been his teammate.
1989 together.
So does that mean you won't bother? You'll be 50 yards apart, social distancing at the weekend?
Have to keep your distance.
Yes, so again, I suppose the way to look at this, both clubs have been bridesmaids of this competition over the last half decade. You've been in semi-finals and finals as well, both of you. So now one of you will finally pass over the finishing line. So I suppose, Conor, you've been a wealth of underage talent has come through your club in the last 7 or 8 years at senior and junior races. Who did you beat to get to the final that we played this weekend?
So in the first round we beat Clooney Quinn narrowly in the market. So that was a pretty tight affair. There was very little between the two teams. And in the quarter final we played Ballier, and again that was a fractious encounter below Clooney. So again it was tight for probably 3/4 of the game. We managed to pull away, near the end, and and we beat Crusheen in the semi-final, and we probably played our best game of the year in that game. So again, we probably needed to do that to beat Crusheen. So I think this year's competition we've been fortunate in that we've had 3 very, very tough games, whereas I think last year when we got to the final we kind of had a very easy pass and we weren't really tested, and we only really got tested when we got to the final, and at that point it was kind of a bit too late, so we got turned over. So so I think this year at least we've had 3 very, very tough games, and that hopefully that will stand to us.
Kevin, from your perspective, what's your history to the final?
Played a good one in the first game over in Budike. Lucky, we were fortunate to go. Just got to go over the line. Quarter final we played Broadford, who took us the extra time. Very tough game, hard game. We just came out, didn't get it there again. And the last another tough game, but in Clooney Quinn we only won by 3 points.
And you were 10 or 11 up.
We were up 11 points, yeah. And a few lads got a few knocks, and we made a few changes and kind of lost the shape a bit, but luckily we got over the line. We just ground out a victory in the end. We've had 3 hard games to get to where we are,
Yeah.
And to be the very same again on Sunday.
It seems like a game that I've sort of put into the calendar and said that could be one of the tougher kind. Well, it might be more glamorous intermediate senior finals, but the two teams have been hammer and tongs this competition for half a decade, and what you're both saying to me here now is that you really have fought to get to the county finals. There's been no easy run, Conor and Kevin. Conor.
No, I mean, we've been quite unlucky over the last 4 or 5 years of competition. I think for 3 years running, we lost out in the semi-final to the eventual winners by a point on each occasion. And then obviously last year we had beaten Clare twice previously to play them in the final last year, and we'd won the Intermediate League as well prior to that, 2 weeks prior to that. And we probably maybe went in, and I suppose the fact we'd beaten them twice, we probably thought we were going to beat them quite easily on the day, but we never turned up. And I suppose similar to Kevin and the Mills, they've been in the same boat really. I mean, 3 finals in the last 4 years, so I think both teams are similar in that respect, in that we've been very, very close, but not close enough.
I suppose we've got to mention here, there's been a run. Tommy Don has ordered about 200 Mills jerseys and tops for the next 2 weeks, so congratulations first on reaching the county final first in 27 years for you.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant for the club, it's brilliant for East Clare, small club. It's super. The buzz around the place yesterday, even after the game, it was smashing, and it's senior final, junior final, and don't forget the minor final.
That's right.
So it's good, it's great, it's a great buzz, it's great when you train. We train tomorrow night, we train our juniors train to seniors, which for us is brilliant, because you're getting top class training every evening you turn up. And it's great to be involved, and it's great to be part of the success that's going on at the moment. It's great.
I suppose Kevin, you can marry us this. I say any of the two teams, whichever team is successful at the weekend, will probably be well capable of holding their own intermediate championship last year, or next year, considering we say the Bodyke did well this year in the intermediate.
Yeah, I'd say that. The two clubs, like Kilmaley and the Mills, like the Junior A Championship, it's a tough competition, isn't it, Conor?
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of physical games in it.
Yes.
Very, like any game we've played, like, we've been taking the pin of our collar like to get to the final. And it's going to be the same again on Sunday. Like, I've seen Kilmaley and Conor's guys have seen us play. It's going to be a hard game again on Sunday, but we're expecting nothing less than we've got in the last 3 games.
And you tell me, if history, you both won a Harty Cup together more than 20 years ago, more than 30 years ago now.
30 years ago, like Conor.
Yeah, and
1989, yeah.
Yeah, and we would have played, with Clare all the way up along at all levels. So
I might that step higher with Clare.
So we know. so we know. So we know each other. We know each other very, very well. So so there won't be any ill blood between myself and Kevin. Anyways, based on our past, we got on great together. So yeah, listen. I suppose on Sunday, if the Mills win, fair play to them, and we move on again. But I think I agree. I think it's going to be a very, very tight game. I think there's very little to separate both teams, and I would agree that I think either team, whichever team does get over the line on Sunday, I think both teams are well capable of holding their own at intermediate level.
And who are your selectors there? Who's involved in management?
So with my team, I've got Anthony Cahill, who's one of the selectors. He played in great club hurler, played for us in 2004, full back, was part of the team in 2001 that won the Junior A Championship. Dermot Maher, who was part of the team that won the Junior A Championship in 2006, he's a coach and a goalkeeping coach and a selector. And then with Kieran Cullinan, his father and his uncle would have played with my father in '63 when Kilmaley beat Fecal in our first final. So in terms, and I think as well as that, we're looking at Martin Rowan captained the team in 2006 when we beat Wolf Tones out here, and his two sons are playing, and the guy that scored probably one of the greatest points ever to be seen out in this pitch, John Clancy, is still involved with the group, and he's kind of probably a doubt for the weekend, but he's been a savage hurler for the club over the last 16 years.
You're talking about something going back 60 years ago, and people are still involved. You can trace the links in the families to even today.
Oh yeah, and like I suppose the week of the Crusheen match, a member of the '63 team, Johnny McInerney, he played midfield with Michael McMahon. He passed away, so I suppose the links with the past are beginning to die out somewhat. But he was
Johnny's father was playing Michael.
Yeah. So they formed they were a fantastic midfield partnership back in that era. So the links to the past are kind of dying out a small bit, but there's great history there, I suppose, within the club,
And Kevin, for yourself, who's involved with your setup?
Paul Heffernan would have been involved with the Mills there for years. He was playing in 1990. He was a sub on the county final 93 in the bridge, and his son Barry is actually captain of the team.
It's a great link.
For Sunday, so that's nice for them and their family.
Yeah.
Fergus Donovan.
Yes.
You know Fergus?
Everyone does.
Yeah. He's a Jimmy McGee of Callahan's Mills. He knows everything about hurling, sport in general. Great man, great club man.
Yes.
And heart's in the right place. Jack Mack, who was the Junior B manager this year. So when the Junior B is finished, we brought him up onto the Junior A setup.
Yes.
Then you have Michael Jones, who is secretary of the club. Michael does a load of work, great work. And then you have Ollie Nash, who has hurled for the Mills for years. The Nash name would be synonymous with the Mills. So it's like good setup, great lads, great club men, heart in the right place.
You'd make a great amalgamation of the two teams, wouldn't you? You'd need to win a senior together.
But they don't need any more. They've enough of a fish.
All right. That's the dig already in the games.
No.
And Conor, who would you be seeing would be the leaders in your squad, or the guys that you bit of crack with, or the men that you look to when you need something done?
Well, I suppose we are unfortunate in some respects in that we've lost four players who played with us in the earlier rounds, and they made a step up to senior. So I suppose we're delighted in some respects for those four players. James McGuire, Aidan Griffey, two absolute fantastic players for us. Conor Finucane, who obviously played in the quarter final against Ballyea, and then Sean Ryan, who had to go on goals. So they were obviously key men for us at the start. But I suppose, players like Martin O'Connor, he's the current captain, full back. He's played a number of years senior, savage player. I suppose we've got a good mixture of youth and experience. Sean Talty in the corner, who probably would have played senior for many years. Then we've got a lot of younger players coming through. John Clancy, obviously, is potentially he's doubtful for the weekend. Micheál McGran, who's played senior, is just back from Australia 2 years ago. There's a lot of players there, a lot of new players coming through that we're kind of bringing through this year, I think there's a good mixture there between experienced players and some of the younger players that have performed well for the club at underage.
Likewise for yourself, Kevin, who will go to in your place of the leaders and squad?
We'd be the same. I think the junior Conor, it's basically all the same. You've young lads coming up and you've lads coming down. They just kind of meet there and the work together, like Adrian Flaherty, who's a big player for us now. We have Adrian Donovan and Carl Lenihan. We've loads of Jamie Keane. I could go on, I could name, that they're all good hurlers. As I said, some are coming up, some are coming down. It's just a mixture, a good mixture we have.
I've been involved with junior teams at Crusheen, where she looking enough to win that about 10 years ago. I found that a junior team can often be there's more of a gel and more link than maybe we say intermediate and senior teams, kind of like to just really get together.
Yeah, I think we'd also suppose the core group that we currently have been there for 7 or 8 years now, I suppose, and they've been around the scene for a while. So and I think the good thing as well, a lot of the experienced players they do offer a lot of advice and guidance to younger players coming through. So we're the same as Kevin, very sound bunch. I suppose for me, the only disappointment for the weekend, I would have thought that I think it's something Clare GA, if you look back and maybe going back 15, 20 years ago, I know in 2001 when we beat, I think Mealich in the final, both the final and the replay were played in Cusick Park, and I think, do you know what I mean? An adult final, I think a lot of some players, some of our players will get the opportunity to play in the park, no doubt about that. Some of the younger players, but maybe for some of the older players who are coming to the end of their careers, it would have been a fantastic way for them to end their hurling careers playing with the club inside the park.
I suppose just to make kind of before I go to Kevin with the final word, I suppose we have to recognise the fact that this time 25 years ago you were celebrating probably one of the greatest days ever in Clare GA. I suppose you didn't get a chance to probably have the gatherings you had. But something I've noticed is the Clare team of 95, 97, there's so many of you now involved in coaching of teams. I mean, we know the big David, Davian, Brian, Shawnee, Fergal, there's so many of you yourself. Why is there so many of you got involved with a lot of other county teams? People wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I suppose I can't really speak for the lads, but I suppose for myself, and Kevin probably attested this as well. Like, we would have gotten so much out of it. Do you know what I mean? In terms of going back when I played as a youngster with Kevin in Flannans and with Clare Minors and so on, Clare 21s. There was guys in my club, PJ Kennedy and Martin Murphy and other guys who would have coached us and looked after us and brought us on. And I suppose when you finish up playing, you know what I mean, I think there's a sense of our duty there that you should get involved. It's your right you should get involved and help out the new generation of players coming through. So for me, I suppose it was more, do you know what I mean, I got a huge amount out of it, and I always felt that, do you know what I mean, there was a lot of guys in our club that helped us come through as underage players. I think it's vitally important that you have players who finished up who are there to help bring on the next generation. I think that's vitally important.
Final word for you, Kevin. I suppose we have to give it to you. You're in the county senior final. You said you're in every final. What's the difference this year? Like, you were in senior relegation last year, I think, and now you're in senior county final, your junior team. What has happened in a year?
I suppose Conor, or Mike, it's just a bit of belief and, you know, just need a bit of luck as well.
Yes.
Do you know, if you don't have a bit of luck,
Yeah.
do you know, you do need luck.
Yeah.
The guys have done senior and junior and minor. As I said at the start of it, there's a load of work going on. And everything's putting their shoulders to the wheel and touch wood, hopefully in a fortnight's time things will be, do you know?
Yes, everything will be.
Yeah.
And look, I suppose, talking to you now for the last 15 minutes, a bit of luck is probably going to determine this game. Something's going to happen that you never thought of, or someone's going to come up with a performance you've never seen before, and that's what probably will decide the final at the weekend for you.
I think so, yeah. I think.
If you said you back when Clare won in '95, you had your own bit of luck along the way.
Yeah.
I think most games, do you know?
Yeah, every team needs it, and you know, I suppose we can all point to games that we played this year where, you know, the game might have turned on one score or one defensive clearance. So, you know what I mean. I think it'll be similar the weekend, I think.
That's it. So again, thanks very much to you guys. They're so placid, so quiet gentlemen here. I'm sure we'll be the same at the weekend with them, and we'll be keeping the camera on each of them. So again, very best of luck to Conor, very best of luck to Kevin and to Kilmaley and Callum's in the county junior hurling final, which we play this weekend.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you very much.